works. Now we can go more detail into this. Means some more concepts you will learn. So continuing yesterday's concept, after knowing all these points. So today we will continue these topics. Yesterday I showed you how to set up environment, how nesting works, how we translate. We discussed that nesting and how variables work. What is the concept of variables? These all topics we discussed. So in Sass, so few more important points you need to understand. So Sass, let's see about the statements. We will discuss about the concept of statements. We learned about variables and we will see about statements. Actually, in programming language, you know that statements are used to control the execution flow. We can control the execution flow by using statements. So, you know, generally the programming languages like JavaScript, if you are aware of that, statements are several types like selection statements, looping control, iteration statements, jump statements like that. So Sass also provides statements so that you can control the execution flow. That means, so selection statements you can configure using if. We have iteration statements you can configure using for. So selection iteration statements are provided by Sass. You can use these statements and you can control. So decision making, looping, all these you can handle by using statements. Let's see how these statements are used in creating good presentations. For example, suppose we will take one example here in our project and let's see how this decision making, looping concept works in Sass. Let's take our project. Yesterday we created a project. In this project we enabled Sass and we are writing everything inside this file. Okay, now actually we are having a Sass file, and in that already we discussed about how to declare variables, how do we store data in variable and access it. You saw variable declaration is done by using $. Now in this we want some decision making. We want decision making is nothing but, for example, we are designing this alert. Yesterday we created an alert which is showing like this. Now this alert should change its theme according to which color you chosen. Suppose you know, like if you are aware of Bootstrap, you know you have alert success, you have like alert danger, you have like alert warning. These kind of themes are present in general Bootstrap. If you know little bit about Bootstrap, you know that actually when you apply this success theme, everything will be in green color. If you apply danger, then everything will be in red. Warning, everything will be in yellow. That means the title, the background, the borders, everything will be changing. Yeah, button, success, button, danger, everything will be changing. So now what we want is, we want the logic in such a way that which theme they selected, according to that, the entire format should change. That means based on theme, the entire format should change. Then how you can implement this? That means how you configure this. So see, here we can write simple conditions. Generally, how you can make decision making. Decision making in Sass, we can do by using if. That means if is a selector used for decision making. And decision statements, actually statements in Sass are defined with the prefix. We have to use. That means you have to write like this: if if, and it uses a condition. You know that it uses a Boolean expression. And what is the basic syntax is, if the condition true, what statements to execute? It uses a block that the statements on true. And if you want else, then you can configure else. And generally in JavaScript, you learned basic programming, and you can have multi-level decisions also. Multi-level decision means you can put else if another condition. And what are the statements to execute on that? Statements on this is actually condition 1 true. Statements on condition 1 true. Here statements on condition 2 true. This is actually second condition. You can add multiple conditions on condition true. And if you want any statement to execute, then you keep else. That means else is nothing but it executes statements when all conditions are false. Statements on all conditions false. You can configure in this way. So you can simply put an style and apply this like this. Now let's see here how we can set up these conditions, and how you can use these conditions in your Sass. Logically, how you can define. For example, what I want is, this is alert success. Alert success is having green color. So this is green color, like for border we are applying. Not only border, we are applying in different places also, like the heading color and font color. Everything we are changing by using this. Even background color, I am applying a similar theme. So what we are doing here, this background color also we will declare a variable. So dollar, so BG color, and what it should have, RGB, and the value I will give 255, 250, and 227. That is the color we are applying for that. So 225, okay. And that is the green shade we are using. Now this BG color I will apply to the alert. So here we have to get it from a variable, and the variable is $BG color. Right, that's how we are applying. Now these are the default values you are applying here. Now I will use another variable called theme at the $theme. Theme is a variable, and the theme is what? Success. Default it is having success as a value. Default success is given as a value. That means it is a string, we are giving it. And if you want to configure as a string, and you know that, so I need to keep this success word in a quote. So that is just like a string we are configuring. Now, if theme is success, then these all effects will work. That means it will be green color. I want to change the color of these according to the theme. Then what we will do is we will write a condition at the net if we have to write a condition. And what is the condition? What is the condition? Condition is if dollar theme is equal to the basic JavaScript operators. So the similar operators are used in Sass. Addition, subtraction, assignment, means arithmetic, assignment, double equal. So it is comparing. If it is equal to, so success. If it is equal to success, then what effects you want to apply? You need to configure the effects. Now, if it is equal to success, then what I am doing is I'm using these same variables here. That means I'm using the same alert and RGB background color. I will apply these. That means I'm going to apply this. The variable alert will be this background and this is this background. That means BG color will be RGB light green color. We will write another condition at the net else if the second condition, if the theme is equal to danger, then what we will do is this is second condition. If it is danger, then the same variables should change. They should change this color to red. So I will shift this to red shade. Red border should come and red light background should come. That means I will change to the red. And I'm giving another option like this. You can write multiple and I'm writing here at the net else if it is not success or if it is not danger, then I want to put some another color and alert success and all these should be applied with. Suppose I want to apply with a yellow color. This is the warning color we want to apply. And the same, I will apply the shade for this background. Light yellow color should come. That is the warning color we need to apply. That means we are writing a simple condition. In this condition, if theme is success, then apply the success colors into these variables. If theme is danger, and apply this colors. If it is not success and danger, then put this color. That means put that shade, that is like gold shade I will give, right? That means like warning and all we want to display like this. So now according to this, you see currently the theme value is set to success, then automatically this will apply. Default, what is applying? It is applying success. Let's do this and run this and see. And how to transcompile already we know. We have to use Sass, SRC. In SRC, we have a file. So what is that file? So we have a SCSS in that index.scss. It should be translated into src dist into the dist index.css. And we will use a watch. It is going to compile that. And once the compiling is success, and you can see it is showing the result green. Already default is green. It's set to green because success. Let's change this theme to danger. When I change the theme to danger and compile it again, then it should apply the danger theme for that. It is going to apply the danger theme for that. And automatically, when you change this to suppose warning, and automatically it will change to the warning. So of course, the shadow also we can change because actually here box shadow is green. this box shadow, I can bring it from, so one variable, what is that variable? BG color or alert success, whatever the variable is there. Then shadow also will be the same, will be same. Now you can see that whenever the theme is changed, that means you are writing a simple decision making. If theme is success, then it will apply success. If theme is danger, then it will apply danger. If it is not, then it is going to apply this warning. So let's change the theme name. Theme name, I change it to success, then automatically you can see it is changed. So a theme name, I change it to danger, and it is going to get that and display. So theme name, you given something else, then automatically it will use this one. Default it is using it, you can put any another one. So here in Sass, it supports decision making. What is the concept of decision making is, decision making allows you to render different type of content according to the situation. If situation is matching, render one content. If situation is not matching, render another content. So when you learnt about JavaScript, various decision making approaches like simple if, nested if, or multi-level if statements, and you can try all those techniques here. You can have a nested if inside if, you can configure, all the logics are similar. So decision making allows Sass to render only what is needed for the situation. Generally in CSS, it is not possible. In CSS, you have to write an effect, and if you want another effect, you need to apply another class. But here actually only one class is there, but it is changing the effects in the background. You can observe here. So whenever you want, you have to just make change in this name. And here, when I use the word danger, then remember it is converted into CSS. And if you see CSS, in CSS, all these conditions will not be there. All these conditions will not be there. In CSS, what it will do, final output only it will generate. So when you go to the CSS file, you see CSS file is applying all the colors statically. That means border color, background color, shadow, alert, everything it is applying statically. And when you change the theme to some success or warning, these colors will be permanently changed here. So you will not see any conditions inside this CSS. So the conditions are configured inside your Sass. And what is the point about Sass is, it is going to allow decision making. That means you can take the decisions. According to the decision, you can apply different effects. So here I am declaring three variables. One variable for color for text and borders, another variable for background, another variable for identifying which theme you want, and according to the theme, the variable values will be changing. And these values are applied to your containers. So the content will use the same style that you are requesting. And decision making, because according to the situation, they can change, right? This is a simple example of a decision making approach in Sass, how you can make decisions. So this is index.scss. So I will give an example here. This is an example for that decision making, how you can configure the decisions, write the decisions and use them. In the statements, you also have the iteration statements. It is also having iteration statements. Iteration statements already Generally in programming language, iteration is the process of executing a set of statements repeatedly so until the condition is satisfied. Actually, iteration and looping concept is it is the process of executing set of statements repeatedly until the condition is satisfied. So actually loop is different, iteration is different. Loop requires condition, initialization and all. Here also a similar approach. So iteration is the process of accessing elements from a collection in sequential order. We can access elements from a collection in sequential order. So you can define loop is the process of executing set of statements repeatedly. You know that it is the process of executing set of statements repeatedly. And Sass can create loops and iterators using for. You have a for. By using the for, you can handle it. So by using iteration statements, these are all real time only. These are not part time. I hope you people know who is this Satyanarayana, right? I hope you know Bootstrap. You have any idea of Bootstrap? Because I think you don't know anything about Bootstrap and all. Because in Bootstrap, contextual colors are applied according to class name. That is real world actually. I think you don't know any real world programming earlier. You are not aware of real world programming earlier. I think that is the reason this doubt comes, because these are all alerts and models, pop-ups. These are all real world designs used in Bootstrap and all everywhere. So if you have little bit awareness on real world designing, you know that these are all real world examples only. Alert dismissible, alert danger, alert success, button danger. These are all used in real world process only. So better you have a knowledge of real world designing first, right? If you have awareness on real world designing like Bootstrap, Tailwind and all, these are all used there. So this is because in website designing, these all are implemented. So because people who are not properly aware of CSS and Bootstrap, for them, this Sass doesn't make any sense. Why? Because Sass is for the people who are already aware of Bootstrap and all. Because in Bootstrap, you learn about so many components, and those components have different styles based on context. So context-based designs we can apply here, right? Already I explained yesterday why we have to use CSS, not directly CSS, why to use Sass. Already I explained. So the process I already explained to you yesterday. I told you what is advantage, drawback, what is difference. If you are not aware of that, please check yesterday's video once, then you will get a clarity, because already yesterday's session we discussed that why we write in Sass, why not directly CSS. Already we discussed, huh? Right. So I think some people are not there in yesterday's session. If you are not there, then once check yesterday's session, detailedly we discussed about it. Okay, right. Now let's see how iteration statements works here. Actually, iteration statement, what is the concept of iteration statement is looping statement. So we will see the iteration and looping statement, how they work. Iteration and looping statements, what is the basic syntax, how we use the for here. Actually, if you know JavaScript and all, for requires initialization and condition. But here we have to define the value like this. That means we need to write at the net for, and it uses a reference for collecting the value from the lower bound, so lower bound to upper bound, lower bound value through upper bound value, upper bound value, through lower bound value to upper bound value you need to define. And upper bound value is the final value. What statements you want? You need to configure the statements. We need to configure the statements. From lower bound to upper bound, we need to define the statements. Actually, it is nothing but, so this reference is a variable where we store the lower bound and upper bound values. That means, for example, I want to run the statement from 1 to 10 times. Then usually we write like this at the net for, so some reference is I from 1 through 10. Like this we write. That means what is the point is I value will be first time 1, I value will be first time 1, second time 2, third time 3, and up to 10. That means from 1 to 10 times it will execute the statements. So it repeats the statements and execute the statements 1 to 10 times. That's what generally it will do. This is the basic how it handles. So it is going to execute the statements from 1 through 10 times. Let's see one example. That means how we can use this in our presentation generally. So how we can use this in the presentation usually, let's take a some pictures are there. I will take some images. Let's modify this design. I will remove this alert. We will put some images. We'll put some images in this location. So in the public folder, let's add some pictures. So in my computer, I'm having some images, some shopping, some public images are there. Let's copy some images, some 1, 2, 3, okay. A9, A10, A11, A12. Some images are there. I will copy them and put them in my public folder. So some A1, A2, here we have images like A9, A10, A11, A12. Some images are there. Okay. We just keep these images here. Let's create a design. Okay, let's put some div. In the div, I will give a class for this div as box. Box I'm giving 1. That is the class name. We are configuring the class as box1. Now in the box1, we will have an image. I have an image source that is a9.jpg. Okay. Similarly, we will have some boxes. This is box 2 and in this some a10.jpg. So we have another box that is box 3. So box 3 and we have a11.jpg and we have box 4 and this is some a12.jpg. Okay, some 4 boxes are there. Usually all these boxes are going to display output like this. That's how the output is displayed. We want to apply some styling for these boxes. We want to apply some styling for these boxes. Now, how do we access the box? So all these boxes, actually, they are having box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4 are the classes we are having. So these are the classes we are having. And for every image, if you want to keep some width and height, so what I will do is, here I will write some basic effect like, so inside, simply like inside div, wherever image is there, we are going to apply some width. Width is like 100 pixel height is also 100 pixels. That means all these images will be like this. We are setting some size for them. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want the second image here. We want the third image here. We want the fourth image here. That means every image should move some 100 pixels from left. And from where the second image ends, the third image should start from there. So we need to adjust the left margin of these images from 1 to 4. How to access actually? So image 1, so we will put as margin left. Suppose it should be some 100 pixel. For image 2, it should be like margin left, it should be 200 pixel. For image 3, so margin left, it should be 300 pixel. That means by 100 pixel, it should adjust. It should adjust 100 pixel left margin every picture. Then actually we have to write so many times like this. We have to write so many times like this. Instead of writing like this, actually these are all what boxes. Huh? These are all boxes. So that means we have box 1. So we have box 2. We have box 3. That means box 1 margin left 100, box 2 margin left 200, box 3 margin left 300. Like this we need to apply. Instead of writing, suppose if there are 20 boxes, you need to write 20 times. Then how you can solve this in a simple way? So what we will do is, for every div also, I will give some border. Every div have a border. So now we will use the shorthand way for this. Means nesting technique we will apply. How we apply the nesting technique is, so div, for div, so width height is this, and it have a border. So 2 pixel solid black, that is the border. And you can see for all the divs it will apply that. And image inside the div will have width 100 pixels, height 100 pixels, then image will be same. And now what we are going to do, we need to access all the boxes now. These all box classes we need to access. How to access all these box classes from 1 to 4? We have to use for initial value in reference is I, starting from 1 through, you have to use through 1 through 4. That means up to 1 to 4. 1 through 4, what we have to do? We have to access the class called box. And remember, after the box class word hyphen, here I need to get the I value. I value will be first time 1, second time 2, third time 3. I hope you already know in JavaScript. In JavaScript, you learned data binding expression. You remembered JavaScript data binding expression. What is JavaScript data binding expression? How do you write? That means you know that data binding expression is defined in backticks. You learned in JavaScript data binding expression. How to bind a dynamic value to a string in backtick, you already learned. Yeah, good. In backtick, generally when you write a string and you want a dynamic value, you have to use a dollar and curly brace. And here the dynamic value you need to configure. That means with a string, dynamic values are added by using dollar and curly brace. This is JavaScript data binding expression. But here dollar is already used for variables. Dollar is used already for variables. That is the reason in Sass, the dynamic expression is written by using hash curly brace. And we can access $I here. What does it means? It means that So box, that means this is a string. How it will work now? Dot box hyphen I value is initially 1. Second time it will be 2. Third time it will be 3. And fourth time it will be 4. That means this I value will be changing. You are binding a dynamic value by using this symbol. This is the binding expression. Actually, JavaScript binding expression is dollar. And here binding expression is hash. You have to just use hash. Okay, now what you want? I want every box margin left. How much you want? Margin left, I will put as $I into 100 pixel. Dollar I into 100 pixel. That means what? First box, it will be 1, that means 100 pixel. For second box, it should be 2 into 100 pixel, means 200. For third box, it should be 3 into 100 pixel. And fourth box, it will be 4 into 100 pixel. That means it is going to apply. So by using this looping technique, even there are 20 boxes, 100 boxes, you can easily apply them by using this technique. That means just what you have to do, you need to just set up the loop starting from which point to box numbers from 1 to 4, and I have to use that here because box numbers are from 1 to 4. I'm using 1 to 4 here because you see the box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, and the output will be like this. Now output is going to display like this. That means first box from 100 pixels, second box from 200, third box from 300, you can apply. You can even apply the transforms, transformations. Actually, without margin left, how to apply? Can you tell? Without margin left, how you can apply? You can apply a transform option. We can use transform translate. I'm using just margin. Instead of that, you can use transform translate. Translate X, translate Y. Suppose I'm using a transform and say rotate. And in the rotate, I'm using as $I, that means 1 into or I plus, so 10 degree, I am adding like this 10 degree. That means first one will be 10 degree, second one will be 11 degree, 12 degree, like that. That means you are adding plus. That means first one will be 11 degree, second one will be 12 degree, third one will be, that means it will be just a slight a degree rotate. It can be a slight degree rotate. So I can just use as minus 10 degree. That means it will be in this direction. I'm just using a rotate. I'm just using a rotate. By using that, I'm rotating. Actually, I'm just adding it. If I multiply it, it is very huge. It is very huge. So I'm just adding. So we can add a lot of effects like that. That means suppose I am using a skew. And what is the skew? So $I, so plus, so 5 degrees skew. That means 6 degree, 7 degree, 8 degree, 6 degree, 5 plus 1, 6. 5 plus 2. Second time it will be 5 plus 2, 7. That means it will be slightly skew. So you can have skew, you can have rotate, and you can define that based on the value of I. That means you can access all the images and 1 to 4 and you apply. Do you know actually to apply this in CSS, you have to write lot of lengthy logic. You see in CSS file how it is generated now. Let's go to the index.css. You see now index.css div, image in div, box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4. That means it generates a 29 lines code. Actually, that we have done in just 18 lines here. That means it is going to generate like this. Individually, you have to write box 1, box 2, box 3. But by using a simple looping and iteration statements, we are handling this. this is the concept of how we can use iterators. That means generally, suppose I want to access 1 to 10 headings and all 1 to 6 headings. And those 1 to 6 headings size must be different, color must be different. Then how to access all of them? Instead of writing heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, then what you can do? You can write a simple for. So, and it uses I from 1 through through 6, 1 through 6. Now how to access the headings? We have to use the word h, and here you put the value of I. That hash the value of I, $I. That means what does it means? It is heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 6. For every heading you want a different style effect you can apply here. That depends on how you want to configure. So this is the advantage of using your statements in Sass. Actually, in CSS, you have to write this much lengthy. If imagine if there are 20 boxes and every box needs a different orientation and all, and you have to write 20 times. But now you can manage everything just by using a simple iteration statement. So in Sass, one of the major advantages is controlling your logic by using statements. How you can configure the statements and work with the statements. So this is one example I'm giving here related to iteration statements, how you define. And here one more point is, so Sass string can bind with dynamic values, dynamic values by using binding expression, which is hash and curly brace. Actually in JavaScript the binding expression is usually a dollar and a curly brace. So that is the binding expression we use. So example, I will copy this example, index.scss. In this we are adding this code, and index.html, I will copy this one, index.html this. So we have different sets of images and we are implementing and using them. So this is another important concept of Sass. How do you use the Sass statement? This is not Sass class, this is a Sass workshop. So I'm giving you an idea about how Sass can be helpful for your CSS. So it is not Sass class. I'm not teaching you a Sass class here. I'm giving a workshop to make you understand how Sass is helpful for developers in managing CSS in a more better way, right? So the key points I am explaining here, so that one, if you are good with your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you can easily implement this at large scale whenever you have to write complex CSS, right? Now in Sass, another concept you should know is, actually Sass provides the concept of functions and mixins. Sass have the concept of functions and mixins. We have the concept of function and mixins. Actually, you know, the functions and mixins are just like methods and functions. What is the difference between function and method in JavaScript? Anybody have the idea? You know about it? What is difference between a function and a method? Actually, mixin is like a method and function is just like a function. So what is difference between function and method? Anybody, you know that in JavaScript? If you learned the programming, you know functions, function parameters, methods, method parameters. Actually, what is the purpose of a function or a method, and what is difference? These generally you already know if you are aware of basic JavaScript, right? Yeah. So method That is not the concept actually. Actually, in general, JavaScript, it is not about where you are using. It is not about where you are using. So do you know function can be used inside class also? Function can be used inside class also. You know that? You don't know? Satyanarayana, right? Function can be inside class also, but only the point function cannot be class member. Actually, when you learn JavaScript, you know that functions and methods are used for refactoring the code. So refactoring is the important concept. Actually, so mixin is like a method. Mixin is like a method, and actually, you know, method are always void type. Void type means they don't return a value. They don't return a value. Methods are always void type. They don't return a value. So and function always returns a value. Returns a value. And that is the actual point about function and methods. Functions are always void, and functions are always returning a value, and methods always void type. That's the actual point. So and mixin is a method type. That means it is an method. Usually functions and mixins are used to refactor the code. Refactor the code. Refactoring, already you know that refactoring is nothing but the process of extracting the code and storing under one reference so that you can easily reuse the code. Actually, refactoring allows to reuse the code. Without rewriting the code, we can access and we can easily reuse the code. That is the point about the functions and mixins. But function always returns a value, and mixin is always void type. That means it will not return a value. It is void type. It is void type. So technically, if you want some logic to use again and again in different places, then instead of writing it again and again, so you can just write once, keep in a function and use anywhere. That is the ability of so mixins and functions. Actually, how the mixin works syntactically, mixin uses at the net mixin, and you have to give a name. And if required, you can put the parameters. You know that parameters are used for modifying the methods. So whatever the statements you want, you can encapsulate all these statements inside. And if you want to access mixin, sorry, this is mixin, okay. And if you want to access the mixin anywhere, you can access mixin from any location by using include directive. So you can access mixin from any location by using @include directive. By using this include directive, you can access. That means syntactically what we do is @include and the mixin name. And we have to pass the arguments, whatever the arguments it is. And if it is not expecting arguments, then include just the name you have to define. So you can easily access and you can apply accordingly. So this is basically how we can configure a simple method. So function and method difference is method is without any return and function always have a return. Function always return. Let's see one example of mixin. Suppose I want to use this mixin. That means I want to reuse the functions from different locations. Functions and these we want to use from different locations. Now we can use a module system actually. So we can implement a module system and we can use the module system. And what is the module system is nothing but module system allows us to import, export the members of one place from one file in another file, and we can reuse it. Actually, we can reuse. Let's see the concept. Actually, suppose, so what we do is here in the module system, how you can configure and implement reusability, how you handle the reusability. Suppose generally we have some CSS here. I will remove this index CSS, SCSS, and I change this now. I just keep a div, and we are keeping as alert. That means we are configuring an alert. That means usually we have an class alert. Okay. And a heading. So heading is some registered successfully, some message and some paragraph. So the paragraph is like just say congrats. So account created successfully. That's the message. Okay. These are the basic things we are having. Okay. How do we define the effects here? So if you want clean separation, what you can do is, suppose you declared some variables. If you declared variable in this file, you can access them inside this file. But I want some variables in such a way that I must able to access from any location. From any location. I want some variables to use in different Sass files. Then what you can do is we can create partial files. What is the purpose of partial files is we can import those files and use in different locations. Suppose actually partial files are created by using underscore and some name. This is actually partial one. We have another, this is a CSS file, SCSS file. So partial one, SCSS. We have like underscore partial2, SCSS, SCSS. Like that we are having. Now in partial one, some logic is there, and partial two, some logic is there. What we can do is we can create one index.scss. And if you are not giving underscore, it is not a partial. We can import these inside it and use them. That means you can import only what you need and use them. For example, if you know, you learned about Bootstrap. Actually, Bootstrap is using an SCSS file, and its converted file name is bootstrap.css. Do you know Bootstrap have separate partial like buttons.scss? Bootstrap have like alerts.scss. Bootstrap have like carousel.scss. Do you know what happens is carousel related all styles are in that carousel file. Buttons related all are in button file. Alerts related all logic is in alert. These are imported in this file. So that is the reason if you link this file related CSS in your project, automatically all these are available. But actually they are cleanly separated. They are cleanly separated. That means they are kept separately. You can import and you can use from any place. So what we are doing now, see, I will create one partial file called underscore variables. So we need underscore variables. That means we need underscore. So we have to use underscore variables.scss. It is a partial file. In that, I am declaring some variables. What are those variables? Dollar. One variable is bg color. Okay, this bg color variable will have RGB. So some color we will mix here. So which color? Background color. I will mix it some success dark light green color. We will mix that. Okay. This is the background color we are storing in a variable. Okay. We will put another variable. This is border. And border we will give some values. What are the values for border is border color. So we are applying some border color. So border color we are defining, that is another variable. Border color I am defining some RGB, and this I will give some dark green color. That means I will set up this with a dark green color. So dark green color we are setting. That is the border color. We have two variables. One is background color, another one is the border color. So border color, background color, these are options we are having. Okay. Now what we do is all the variables we keep in this location. All the variables we keep in separate variables file so that it is cleanly separated. Okay. After that, I will create another partial file underscore mixins dot SCSS. I am creating another mixins. Now in mixins CSS, I want to use these variables. If you want to use these variables, you have to import. Import, what is the file name? File name is what? Variables. Variables. Just the file name is enough. You don't need to give the extension also. You just need to import the module name. The module name will be the variable, that is the file name. You have to import variables so that these variables, whatever you declared, they are accessible here. And mixin is nothing but it is a function. Mixin is a function. And this mixin function, we can use the mixin function. So mixin is a function. So mixin is another here. We will use a function. What is the function? @mixin. And apply theme. Apply theme is the function, that is the method name. This method is expecting some parameters. What are the parameters it is expecting? It is expecting some parameters, or it is having simply some effects. No parameters are there. Without parameters, then you just define a mixin. So what you want to write, the logic you need to define here. I want, this is a method. In this method, wherever alert class is used, I want to apply border. Border as, so 1 pixel, 2 pixel solid, and this border color should come from this variable border color. That means we have to use dollar border color. We can access that. But actually, this is not present in the same file. This is present in the variables. We are importing from variables and we are using it. Next, we want background color. Background color is coming from BG color variable. That is also present in that particular location. We will put padding as 20 pixel. Padding as 20 pixel. And so inside the alert, wherever heading is there, I think inside that heading is heading 2. Okay. Wherever heading 2 is there, wherever paragraph is there, that means wherever heading 2 is there, I'll give font family as Arial. And color, the color for heading should be the same border color. Border color only we will apply to the font color also. Font color we are using. Wherever paragraph is there, font family. So I given as ink free. So, and here I will give font size as suppose 22 pixel. And color should be same border color. That means now this is present in a function, in a method called apply theme. When you access apply theme, automatically this alert will be applied. That means all these effects are applied. So like this, you can write multiple functions, you can write multiple variables, and these are present in which file? Mixins. Mixins have a method called apply theme. And I want to use this in index.css. Now variables is a partial file and mixins is a partial file. So you can import both of them inside this SESS, or variables is already imported in Mixins. So Mixins you can import in index now. How to import that? We have to just use @ what is it? Import. And import what? Import is nothing but Mixins. We have to import that Mixins file. And in that Mixins file, there is a method. What is that method? Apply theme. That apply theme method we have to access. How to access any method? By using include. Include apply theme. That's it. When you access this, automatically all the code will be added into this SESS. Now SESS file is very simple. It is having only 2 lines. Now SESS is having only 2 lines. And when I compile this, you see it is compiled successfully. And you can observe that into index.css, all the code is generated. Into index.css, all the code is generated. All the code is generated. That means actually it is having only 2 lines of code, which is exporting everything into that. That means we created variables. Variables are imported in Mixins, and Mixins are imported into your CSS. So this is the mechanism of reusability, easy extensibility. Now clean separation. All your variables you keep in one variable file. All your methods you keep in Mixins. You can access any method you want and you can use it. So all your variables, Mixins, keep them in separate files. You can just include them and you can use them. And remember, index is not a partial file. It is the actual file. All the partial files will have the extension, will have the prefix underscore. Underscore is the prefix. It is important to define. Actually, you people, if you know Bootstrap, when you learned Bootstrap, all the files of Bootstrap, alerts, and all these are actually related to Sass only. I will show you, suppose roughly, I will install here npm install Bootstrap, and I will show you here when Bootstrap is installed in your project. You can see in the node modules, you can observe in the node modules. In the node modules, you have Bootstrap. In Bootstrap, SESS folder is there. And you can see that in that all are partial files. You see, accordion, alerts, all these are partial. And all these partial files, you see, they have separate folders, Mixins and all. And all these partial files are kept in one file. What is that file? Bootstrap SESS. In Bootstrap SESS, what they are doing, they are just importing them. They are importing functions, they are importing variables, they are importing Mixins, they are importing all these. And they are just using them. Actually, Bootstrap CSS is not having the complete code. Everything is imported from separate location. So to enable reusability, you can implement this. So here an important option is, so while working with this, we need to know about another concept here, Sass partial files. So a partial file comprises of logic. So that is marked to export. So you can import and use in any SCSS file, in any SCSS file. So it enables reusability, it enables extensibility, and clean separation. So clean separation, easy extensibility, easy separation, reusability, all these we can achieve by using partial. And very important, partial files must have the prefix. It must have the prefix underscore. That is mandatory. It must have the prefix underscore. You need to configure with the prefix underscore. And then only it is suitable for importing and using in any location. So it is mandatory to have the prefix underscore, then you can implement and use it. So syntactically, suppose we have underscore variables dot scss, we have underscore, so mixins dot scss, and what we do in index dot scss, what we have to do, we have to import. One is variables, so we have to import. Another one is mixins. We need to import and configure this. These are important. You cannot import, so you cannot import this. So you cannot import this. So now the basic point is, who is this Rehan Bhagwan, right? How you can access a Sass variable in JavaScript? Is there any sense in this? What do you say? Huh? Right. So let's keep these questions reasonable and sensible also, huh? Because you are using a CSS language and you are saying that CSS you want to use in JavaScript language. You are trying to mix these two. Let's keep questions also little sensible, huh? Right. Right. So you know JavaScript. So you know JavaScript module systems. Have you learned anything about JavaScript modules? Who is this Rehan Bhagwan? You know JavaScript module system. If you are aware of JavaScript module system, you know how JavaScript modules are used. Which module system JavaScript uses to import, Rehan Bhagwan? You should be aware of that. Like CommonJS, RequireJS, UMD, AMD module systems are used, no? Right? I hope you know that. Huh? JavaScript, to use modules, it needs a module system. And that module system should match, right? Right. These are the basic things here, right? Technically, these are the points, right? So I will give one example for this. What is that example? We have the files called, so variables dot scss. In variables scss, I will copy this too. And we have another one is mixins dot scss. In mixins scss, we have this. And we have index.scss, we have this. We just import those and use it. And we have index.html. Index.html usually have this code. Index.html have this. And actually, as I told you, you can have functions. Functions are nothing but usually functions will have functions will have a return value. So we can create functions, we can return the value parameters. Those we will not discuss here because that needs little bit knowledge of JavaScript, because many people, we see that without knowledge of JavaScript, if you attend, some programming logical issues will come. So we will keep limited up to the basic of how the Sass is helpful for handling complex CSS. Because if you are aware of JavaScript like programming language, conditions, iterations, so functions, function parameters, function returns, all those concepts you will learn there. Module systems, everything you learn. With that knowledge, you can write variables, you can write functions, you can write so other methods and parameters, why you need parameters, how parameters can modify the functionality. All these points will come under that point. So we are not having that because, as I told you, this is just the workshop to give a complete overview of how Sass is helpful for CSS in real world, where they use it at a large level. So when you are developing applications, So, and you have a lot of CSS framework to implement, then this is recommended. You in real world, Bootstrap and all these are designed by using Sass only, right? So this is just a complete overview for the people who are already aware of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, how to implement Sass. Sass is not mandatory to use in projects, but majority of these days projects are expecting the knowledge of Sass. That's the overview I have given here. I will share a complete document with you. You can go through the document with some more examples are there in that document, and you can try them. You can try them. I hope this workshop is helpful for you. So to have a little knowledge on what is the concept of Sass and how Sass works. Okay. So this is not Sass class, just an overview of to make you understand what is the Sass and how the Sass works. Okay. And I will share one document with you, all people, because you all people registered in this meeting. So we will send an email to you. In that email, you will get the documentation. Okay. All the document I will share with you. You can go through that, right? So thank you for your participation in this workshop. So this is not Sass class. This is the Sass workshop to make you understand about the concept. Okay. I hope with this knowledge you can implement it. You can implement and you can use it. Okay. Right. Thank you very much. So, and in the next workshops, we will have some discussion on other types of frameworks of CSS and how to implement them. Like we will have Tailwind and the other type of CSS, because many people are asking for that. We will have workshop on that, and we will give an idea about other frameworks also. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.